drastically underestimated how many sticky notes this would take. WoT for Wheel of Time. That's what a smart person would have done. Instead of new spring novel, you guys are getting new. So this book starts off right as the Aiel War is actually ending. We follow Moraine almost entirely throughout this book, but it kicks off with her kind of serving the Amerlin seat and her keeper while they're just kind of having an evening in. Moraine is still an accepted at this point, and she's serving them with Swan Sanche, who we know eventually is going to be Amerlin's seat, but of course isn't yet because she's an accepted too. Now suddenly the Amerlin seat's second in command, the Keeper of the Chronicles, cries out and basically screams about a foretelling she's having about the dragon being reborn. She then dies of the shock and intensity of this vision, Randall Thor killing women before he even took his first breath. Now, the current Amerlin seat, Moraine and Swan Sanche, were the only people who witnessed this happening. The Amerlin seat then swears Moraine and Swan Sanche to secrecy about what they heard, and the next day sends out tons of accepted into surrounding towns and villages to write down and document babies who were born in the last few days, and this is her way of trying to actually find the dragon reborn. Now, immediately Moraine becomes very interested in the idea of finding and tracking down this baby and basically looking after it, her and Swan both. Within the next few weeks, Moraine and Swan Sanche are raised to full Aes Sedai, and they're very highly regarded Aes Sedai due to the fact that they're more powerful than anyone else in the tower pretty much. They are both very strong channelers. It feels good to be talking about Wheel of Time again. Very soon after this, though, the Amerlin seat dies under various mysterious circumstances and a bunch of other Aes Sedai she had been meeting with. This is the first real shadow of the Black Aja infiltrating the White Tower, showing its face. Now, almost immediately, of course, a new Amerlin seat is brought into power, and this Amerlin seat wants Moraine to go and work to get the throne of Carian so that she can be a stooge for the White Tower and an Aes Sedai queen. Moraine pretty much noopes out and starts going to look for the Dragon Reborn herself out in the world. She doesn't want to be tied down being queen. She wants to be out actively working for the light because Moraine is a baller. She heads off towards the borderlands to begin looking for the Dragon Reborn and pretty quickly runs into Lan Mandragoran. Now, early on, it's made pretty clear that Moraine is eyeballing Lan to be her warder, but they're not getting along great right away. They kind of bicker back and forth, though they are traveling together. They pull pranks on each other. She throws water on him, gets ants to bite him, all kinds of stuff, and Lan just takes it because he's not really going to do anything about it. Of course, many times throughout this book, Lan demonstrates his ridiculous ability with his sword and his just all-around supreme confidence. I want to get into a little bit of the building relationship here and Lan's actual background. I didn't really cover it too much in my summaries of Wheel of Time. Lan is the last of the Valkyrie, meaning he is the only heir to the throne of a land that was overtaken by the Borderlands. Now, we see a side of Lan we've never really seen before in the actual Wheel of Time books, and that side of him is kind of someone who's incredibly loyal to his country and actually wants to bring this back. He's traveling with a group of guys who all want to bring the Valkyrie back and to go take back these lands. This ends very tragically for Lan, but we're going to get there. It's just interesting to see this other side of him that occasionally peeked its head in the actual Wheel of Time series. There's a whole bunch of investigations, but this is the biggest issue with a new spring novel, and why a new spring novel is my least favorite Wheel of Time book, is that this book focuses very heavily on Moraine and Lan and developing their characters, which is great, and that's the best part of it, but nothing else really happens in this book. There's a whole lot of back and forth. Lan has a brief love story no one cares about. It's just kind of all meh until the climax at the end. So at this point, I'm going to pretty much jump to that because we go from this build to a lot of filler to the end. And the end is actually pretty good. I like it quite a bit. Basically, a member of the Black Aja has also been looking for the Dragon Reborn. Moraine uncovers that she's in the Black Aja, and this Aes Sedai goes ham on Lan's friends. She pretty much kills his entire party that Lan's been traveling with, and the woman Lan was having a pretty much loving relationship with, and this leaves Lan destitute. In response, during this fight, Moraine does lash out and kill this woman, but it leaves just these two characters who we've pretty much been introduced from the entire book are the only ones left standing and the only ones we care about, which, isn't a bad or a good thing, but we just have these two. The final scene is Moraine riding up to Lan, asking him to be her warder, and Lan saying yes, and this dynamic duo, this legendary two, are now officially bonded. I don't love a new spring novel like I do the rest of Wheel of Time. That being said, if a new spring novel was on its own, I think I would like it more because I wouldn't have such high expectations going in and a certain mindset going in. It is a much more self-contained, smaller story. That's kind of cool that it fits into Wheel of Time. I just think it could have been executed a little better and maybe not attempt to still stand with that grand world and just be this self-contained story, but it kind of lands halfway in between for me. I actually haven't reviewed a new spring novel, so let's throw that in here. I think the character development's by far the best part. I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10, maybe even a light 9. It's really well done. I'm going to give the world building maybe a decent 6. It is a world I love, but it's just not really about that world. And of course, the writing is Robert Jordan's writing. I love it. It has its problems, but I grew up reading it, so I very much so am blind to those problems in many ways. You will spend a chapter or two talking about a curtain or a leaf, but it's all great. I'll give it a very strong 8. I love Robert Jordan's writing, but I do understand there's problems with it. Overall, I'm going to give a new spring novel a 7. If it wasn't for its connections to Wheel of Time, I really wouldn't care about the book. But that being said, if you're reading Wheel of Time, reading A New Spring will greatly enhance your enjoyment of Moraine and Lan. They are fantastic characters, and everyone should love them, as I think they do. And this book should be considered purely just an exploration of their roots, and it does that very well, but that's about it. That's all for now. I hope you have enjoyed this summary of A New Spring novel. It really feels good to talk about Wheel of Time again. Sorry that doesn't say New Spring. I ran out of Post-it notes. It took way more than I thought it would. Like and subscribe if you're not already, and have a great day. Peace.